President Lee Jae-myung laid out South Korea's new initiative to strengthen collaboration with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and called for a tighter cooperation under the ASEAN +3 framework on transnational crimes. And the leaders of South Korea and Cambodia agreed to launch a joint task force to track down online scam crimes targeting South Koreans, following a recent string of such crimes there. South Korea's benchmark KOSPI breached the 4,000 mark for the first time in history on Monday, over investors' growing optimism of a possible U.S.-China trade deal and expectations of a rate cut by the U.S. Federal Reserve. President Lee Jae-myung is on his way back to South Korea after wrapping up a two-day trip to Malaysia to attend his first ASEAN summit. There, the president outlined how his administration plans to further strengthen South Korea's partnership with the bloc. Our presidential office correspondent Seung-jae reports from Kuala Lumpur.
A contributor, a springboard, and a partner, or CSP for short. That's the vision President Lee Jae-myung has laid out for South Korea and ASEAN's Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, also CSP, the bloc's highest level of partnership established with Seoul last year.
저는 한 아세안 관계가 이웃 사촌과 같다고 생각합니다. 아세안과 한국은 금융위기와 팬데믹, 자연재해 등이 닥칠 때마다 힘을 모아 위기를 극복해온 자랑스러운 경험이 있습니다.
The pillars of the vision unveiled by the president himself at the South Korea-ASEAN summit on Monday are expanding people-to-people exchanges, upgrading the free trade agreement to boost exports, and strengthening joint responses to shared security threats. Lee particularly focused on transnational crimes such as online scams, an issue that has raised big concern back home following the death of a Korean college student believed to have been lured to Cambodia by a scam gang.
한국경찰청은 아세안 폴가의 수사 공조를 통해 조직적 범죄 단지를 건절하고 초국가 범죄가 이 지역에서 더 이상 발붙일 곳이 없도록 협력을 강화해 나갈 것입니다.
According to presidential spokesperson Kang Yoo-jung, during the summit's closed-door session, President Lee outlined his administration's North Korea policy, emphasizing dialogue, normalization of inter-Korean relations, and denuclearization, which received strong support from participating leaders. On the same day, President Lee also made his debut at the ASEAN +3 summit, which brings together South Korea, Japan, and China, along with the ASEAN members. He stressed the need to work together to tackle what he called, quote, complex and multi-layered challenges.
인구 고령화, 저출산, 국가 간 세대 간, 계층 간 디지털 격차, 기후변화와 자연재해로 인한 식량 위기, 에너지 위기, 초국가 범죄 등 다양한 도전 과제들이 우리 모두의 일상에 큰 영향을 미치고 있습니다. 한중일 간 교류가 아세안 +3 협력으로 이어지고 아세안 +3에서의 협력이 한중일 간 교류를 견인하는 선순환을 위해 중국 그리고 일본과 긴밀하게 협력해 나가겠습니다.
The summit concluded with a joint statement on enhancing regional economic and financial cooperation.
It's the beginning of a super week of multilateral diplomacy. Once he returns to South Korea, waiting for the president is the APEC economic leaders meeting in Gyeongju, as well as high-stakes summits with U.S. President Donald Trump and China's Xi Jinping. 송유진, Arirang News, Kuala Lumpur.
Staying in Malaysia, the leaders of South Korea and Cambodia met on the sidelines of the ASEAN-related diplomatic event. They agreed to establish a joint task force to investigate online scams in Cambodia targeting Koreans. Yoon Jung-min reports.
Tackling transnational online scam crimes topped the agenda when President Lee Jae-myung met Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet on the sidelines of the ASEAN-related summits in Kuala Lumpur, in the wake of a recent surge of such crimes in Cambodia, where some South Koreans have been found involved or fell victim.
대한민국에서는 현재 이 스캔 범죄 때문에 우리 국민들 전체가 매우 예민한 상태인데 우리 캄보디아 당국이 대한민국 국민들에 대해서 각별한 배려를 해주신 점 진심으로 감사드립니다.
The Cambodian leader began the summit by offering his condolences for the recent death of a Korean college student, believed to have been lured to Cambodia by a scam gang, and pledged for stronger crackdowns on such crimes with other nations.
This is not a single country's issue, it's a regional issue. It's work in Cambodia and many other countries around that make it complex.
As a result of their meeting, they agreed to take further action.
The two leaders have agreed to launch a task force in November dedicated to investigating crimes in Cambodia targeting Koreans. The number of Korean police officers who will be dispatched and their operation will be confirmed as soon as possible.
In light of the launch, President Lee signaled that South Korea may lower its travel alerts for certain areas in Cambodia, including Phnom Penh. Other areas of focus were bolstering cooperation on a wide range of issues, as President Lee expressed hope of elevating bilateral cooperation to a new level, while Prime Minister Manet hoped to expand investment, people-to-people exchanges, as well as cooperation on security and defense. Before heading home, President Lee sat down with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim on Monday, with a focus on future cooperation, including trade, AI, arms industries, and Korea's peace mission. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
The nation's benchmark KOSPI has yet again broken records, something investors are getting used to by now. But today, it was the 4,000 mark, which is entering a new range. Our Kim Do-yeon reports.
South Korea's benchmark KOSPI surpassed the 4,000 mark for the first time on Monday, driven by expectations of a U.S.-China trade deal and gains on Wall Street. The index opened strong, staying above 4,000 for the entire session and hitting a new intraday high of 4,042.83, where it closed. This year's rally marks a surge of around 68% from its closing point of 2,400.86 on January 2nd. The milestone also comes just over 4 months after the KOSPI returned to the 3,000-point range.
It appears there are expectations that the summit between President Trump and President Xi Jinping will yield positive results. Furthermore, continued optimism for the semiconductor industry, particularly the so-called super cycle, is driving foreign capital inflows and leading the domestic market's push past the 4,000 mark.
Samsung Electronics also made history as its share price broke 100,000 won since its last share split. This pushed its market capitalization to 597 trillion won, or about $417 billion. Samsung's shares closed at 102,000 won. SK Hynix also rose, with the market closing at 535,000, a gain of 4.9% compared to the last session's close. Together, the two chip giants account for approximately 32% of the KOSPI's entire market cap. The surge is attributed to a recovery in the semiconductor industry and resurgent competitiveness in high-bandwidth memory chips. Analysts note that significant supply increases from major memory producers, including Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix, face fiscal constraints in the short term, with new supply possible only from the second half of 2026 at the earliest. Memory prices are expected to continue rising until the end of that year. Therefore, earnings estimates for Samsung and SK Hynix are likely to be revised upward, with the semiconductor sector's rally forecast to continue into 2026, outperforming the main index. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Now, Monday saw a new milestone for South Korean shares after the U.S. and China produced a framework for a potential trade deal that will be discussed when their respective leaders meet later this week here in South Korea. Seung-jae has the details.
Top U.S. and Chinese economic officials have agreed on the framework of a new trade agreement, signaling progress ahead of a highly anticipated meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping later this week. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Trade Representative Jameson Greer met with Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng and top negotiator Li Chenggang on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit in Kuala Lumpur on Sunday, marking the fifth round of in-person discussions since May. Speaking to ABC News on the same day, Bessent said the two sides averted further tariffs thanks to the maximum leverage provided by Trump.
The president had given me maximum leverage when he threatened 100% tariffs if the Chinese imposed their rare earth global export controls. So I think we have averted that so that the tariffs will be averted.
Bessent said a substantial framework was put in place for the two leaders, adding that China has agreed to delay its expanded licensing regime for rare earth exports by 1 year, a move seen as a concession to ease trade tensions. He also said that China has agreed on substantial agriculture purchases for U.S. farmers. Meanwhile, President Trump arrived in Malaysia on Sunday for the ASEAN summit, his first stop on a 5-day Asia tour that will culminate his face-to-face meeting with Xi in South Korea on Thursday. Both sides are hoping to defuse mounting trade tensions following months of tariff threats and countermeasures. The new framework, if finalized, could mark a turning point in the trade dispute, with officials emphasizing cooperation over confrontation as they prepare for the leaders' summit later this week. Seung-jae, Arirang News.
In other news, South Korea has once again reaffirmed its commitment to work with the U.S. on their shared goal of denuclearization after President Donald Trump referred to North Korea as a sort of a nuclear power. Moon Jung has this report.
Following U.S. President Donald Trump's remarks referring to North Korea as sort of a nuclear power, a South Korean presidential official said on Sunday that Trump appeared to recognize the advanced reality of North Korea's nuclear capabilities rather than officially recognizing its status or abandoning nuclearization goals. They also reaffirmed close coordination with the U.S. on denuclearization. Trump made the remarks during a press meeting aboard Air Force One on Friday in response to a question about Pyongyang's stance that recognition as a nuclear power is a prerequisite for talks with Washington. He departed for an Asia tour over the weekend, which includes a visit to South Korea, and expressed a strong desire to meet with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, I do. I mean, if you want to put out the word, I'm open to it. You know, they don't have a lot of telephone service. They have a lot of nuclear weapons, but not a lot of telephone service. So I'm open to it. I had a great relationship with him, and he probably knows I'm coming, right?
However, prospects of a U.S.-North Korea meeting seem to have dimmed as North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee departed Pyongyang for a trip to Russia and Belarus. According to the North State media, the Korean Central News Agency on Monday, Choi's visit to the two countries is at the invitation of their foreign ministers. Her absence during the run-up to Trump's visit to South Korea suggests that talks between Kim and Trump are unlikely to materialize. Moon Ji-young, Arirang News.
Washington has appointed a new charge d'affaires to lead its embassy in South Korea. Kevin Kim, a Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for East Asian and Pacific Affairs. The U.S. Embassy in Seoul announced his appointment on Monday, saying that Kim will work with embassy staff and the Korean government to advance shared interests and strengthen the ironclad Korea-U.S. alliance. Kim played a role in all three of President Donald Trump's first-term meetings with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, held in Singapore, Hanoi, and the inter-Korean border area of Panmunjom. A Korean American, Kim has previously served on the U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee and as a senior advisor to Senate Bill Hagerty before taking on senior roles at the State Department overseeing Korea, Japan, and Mongolia. Now, the U.S. ambassador to Seoul post has been now vacant for 10 months. World leaders are set to convene in South Korea, which is hosting the APEC forum this week. The week will be full of official discussions and sideline symmetry, which will be a test for South Korea's diplomatic strength. Our Oh Seung tells us what to expect.
As host of the annual Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum this week, South Korea aims to bring together 21 economies representing 40% of the world's population and 60% of global GDP. Under the theme Building a Sustainable Tomorrow, the annual meeting will centre on 3 goals: strengthening regional connectivity, harnessing AI-driven growth, and advancing the transition to a more resilient and prosperous Asia-Pacific. Corporate heads of the region's largest firms from Samsung and SK to OpenAI and Nvidia will attend the CEO Summit on Thursday and Friday. And government leaders will convene on Friday and Saturday amid deepening geopolitical standoffs and the fragmentation of global trade.
So for APEC, which was built on the idea of open trade, this fragmentation really is a test. And for sustainability, global climate change or energy transition, those are not side issues anymore. Actually, they literally define competitiveness. So these APEC member states are under huge pressure to decarbonize, but still grow. So collaboration on green tech will be really the key during the APEC. And also, it's very important for our future generation.
But the question remains on whether South Korea can keep the focus on regional cooperation. Top-level meetings on the sidelines are expected to dominate headlines, with the leaders of South Korea, the United States, Japan and China all holding one-on-one talks. An unlikely but not impossible meeting of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and US President Donald Trump could also steal the limelight. However, the biggest spotlight will fall on the first US-China summit since President Trump's return to office, and on how their tariff and export controls may reshape the regional economy, in stark contrast to APEC's founding principle of free trade and open cooperation. Still, experts say South Korea could set the tone of the multilateral meeting.
Also, I think APEC could serve as some sort of de-risking platform, so that we can talk about how to separate our national security issues from commerce. For example, we can have some practical conversation with the major powers like the US or Japan on national security issues, while staying well connected, well engaged with China and ASEAN on trade. So reducing our security risk while keeping our markets open.
Through a series of high-level official meetings, Seoul has been working to produce the Gyeongju Declaration and a separate initiative on AI governance.
At the moment, South Korea is pushing for supply chain stability, especially in semiconductors, batteries, GPUs, and some critical minerals. And we need some practical plans for WTO consistent trade on digital products, as well as some sensible AI guardrails so that our businesses can invest with confidence. I think a very interesting opportunity for us to thread some needle so we can balance some secure supply chain, greener growth, and maybe fewer friction for exporters. And if we managed to strengthen some trust among big players during APEC, that must be really a win.
Amid geopolitical theatrics, APEC Week will test South Korea's diplomatic prowess, its ability to draw consensus amid contention, and to keep dialogue alive among competing member economies. Oh Seung, Arirang News.
With APEC 2025 Korea just around the corner, Gyeongju is once again in the spotlight, this time for its royal treasures. A rare exhibition brings all 6 gold crowns back to Shilla Kingdom for the first time. Our Park Hyo-bin has his story.
The host city of APEC 2025 Korea, Gyeongju, was once the center of the ancient Shilla Kingdom known as the Land of Gold. Among its many gold treasures, the crown was the most important symbol of royal power and craftsmanship. So far, 6 Shilla gold crowns have been discovered. And now, for the first time, all 6 are displayed together at the Gyeongju National Museum along with other royal ornaments to celebrate APEC 2025 Korea. The crowns, believed to have been made between the 5th and 6th centuries, have branches shaped like deer antlers symbolizing life and vitality. It is also believed that the king, as wearer of the crown, was a sacred being connected to the heavens. Shilla's crowns are special because they make up more than half of all ancient gold crowns ever found in the world. No other kingdom has left behind so many golden relics in such good condition.
The Shilla gold crown symbolizes the height of royal power and artistry, standing as one of the most exquisite ancient treasures in the world. Seeing all 6 together captures the true glory of the land of gold.
The museum also says the exhibition will help visitors discover the beauty and spirit of Shilla art.
No kingdom other than Shilla has left behind such unique cultural treasures as these gold crowns. We thought this would be the perfect theme to celebrate both APEC and the museum's 80th anniversary.
More than a showcase of artifacts, it's a journey through the artistry and legacy that defined ancient Shilla. The exhibition runs until December 14th, drawing worldwide attention to the legacy of the Shilla period. Park Hyubin, Arirang News, Gyeongju.
It's time now to take a look at what's been happening in the world of sports. For that, we have our sports editor, Paul Nitze, joining us in the studio. Welcome back, Paul.
Thank you. Hello.
Paul, why don't we start with football and South Korea's domestic football K-League. It looks like Incheon United are back in the top flight.
Yes, that's right. Incheon sealed the K-League 2 title on Sunday. It meant an instant return to the top division. It was sealed via a 3-0 win over Gyeongnam FC and a draw for Suwon Blue Wings the day before, meaning Incheon are 10 points clear with 9 points left to play for. Goals on Sunday came from Jerso Fernandez, Stefan Magosa and Mado Barrow. Another goal from Magosa puts him on 20 for the season, 4 clear of his nearest rivals for the Golden Boot. Incheon had become the relegation escape artist over the years, but finally succumbed last season. If Incheon win their last 3 games, they can set a new record for points in K-League 2, beating the 86 set by Gyeongju in 2022.
Still plenty to play for then. Now moving on to baseball, the MLB World Series has begun. Tell us more.
Yes, it has. The series is tied at 1-1 between the LA Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays. Game 1 saw the Blue Jays earn an 11-4 win at home on Friday, but LA fought back in Game 2 the following day with a 5-1 win. Game 3 is coming up on Monday night local time in LA. It is a best-of-7 series, but one that so far has yet to see South Korea's Kim Hye-sung appear. If Kim does play, he'll be the first South Korean to feature in a World Series since Choi Ji-man in 2020. Meanwhile, the KBO Korean Series has also begun. Sunday saw the LG Twins earn an 8-2 win over the Hanwha Eagles in Game 1. Game 2 got underway earlier tonight, and the score is currently 9-5 to LG. The Eagles are in a Korean series for the first time in 19 years, and their only win came back in 1999. The Twins last won in 2023 and have 3 titles overall.
Right. Paul, shifting back to football for a moment, Son Heung-min and LAFC are set to take part in the MLS Cup playoffs. Tell us more.
Right. So LAFC finished third in the Western Conference. Now, this earned a place in the first round of the playoffs, where they'll face Austin FC in a best-of-3 series. The first match is coming up on Wednesday local time, with the second on Sunday. Now, should LAFC win the series, they'll advance to the Western Conference semi-finals, played over a single match. After that, it is the conference final, again over a single match. Then the winners will meet for the MLS Cup. Son moved to LAFC in the summer and helped guide his new team up the table, scoring 9 and assisting 3 in just 10 matches.
Paul, finally to badminton, I do have to say, number 9 seems to be magic number for South Koreans at the French Open.
Right, yes, Kim Won-ho and Seung-jae made it 9 wins for the season for them. On Sunday, the pair beat Mohamed Shiobul Fikri and Fajar Ilfian 2-1. They actually lost the first match 21-10, but then won the second and third 21-13, 21-12. Before this, on Saturday, An Se-young made it 9 titles by also winning the French Open. The world number 1 beat her rival Wang Zhiyi 2-0, 21-13, 21-7. The match against the world number 2 lasted just 42 minutes. It's Anne's third French Open title, having also won in 2019 and 2024.
Great stuff as always, Paula. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Even though it is still October, warm coats and scarves are necessary already. As the cold winds from the north came down, some areas fell to below 0 this morning and recorded the coldest morning this fall. With the first cold wave warnings of this fall being issued, it will start off cold tomorrow morning at 2 degrees Celsius in Seoul. This sudden cold will last until Wednesday. Please take care of your health. Tomorrow morning, most areas will start off at below 10 degrees, with Chuncheon at -2 degrees, Daegu at 3 degrees. However, temperatures will recover to double digits during the day tomorrow. Seoul will rise up to 12 degrees, Daejeon and Gyeongju at 14 degrees. Rain is forecast for the Seoul metropolitan area and western parts of Gangwon-do province on Friday. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That's all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. From all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.